Testing. Please, is this working now? Is this working? Oh no. Why is this not working? Testing. Oh, is it? Oh my god. Oh. I just explained 20 minutes of theory on the face, and then I realized that you guys couldn't see any of it because OBS didn't work. Oh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I literally just sat here and explained all this stuff, and I was going through all the rig, and I was going through this PowerPoint. I was explaining all this, and OBS wasn't even working. I'm so sorry, guys. I did not notice. I'm so terribly sorry. So I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna start from the top. I just thought it was like quiet. I just thought people were just focused and listening to what I was saying, but then I realized that someone said, any word from him? And I'm like, yeah, I've been talking for the last 20 minutes. Anyway, so sorry for the delay. I was on time, I was here, and I was working. I don't know, man. OBS, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Let me get you guys on my other screen. Hold on. I'm so sorry. Oh, I feel so bad because I scheduled it and everything, and you guys got a notification and stuff, and I'm so sorry. It's working now. Everything's working. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect. Everything's jolly. So I'm gonna start from the top. Thanks so much for coming, and thanks for, like, not all leaving. Like, this is so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. But, anyway, I gotta think, where do I begin? There's been so much. Well, first of all, I do have an exciting announcement while you guys are here. Thanks for sticking around. But I got some exciting news about Gabi to tell you guys. Okay, I'm just gotta make sure I'm recording. Cool. So while I've been working on the model, we got some other cool news about Gabi. Gabi has now become a sticker. That's right. She's transformed from a 3D model into the sticker. And that is now available on my merch shop, link down below. I opened up a new store with CrowdMade, so I can make sticker sheets like this. So if you want to support the development and help me pay my internet bill, check out the stickers, and then you can chuck this wherever you want. You can put them on your laptop, you can put them on anything. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, I would really like to make this the sticker, but you can't make 3D models as stickers. At least not to my knowledge. It'd be cool if stickers were 3D, but can't do that at the moment, sadly. But in the meantime, if you want Gabi in your life, this is the way to do it. So, this is how the model's been going. There's been some developments, and I'm gonna try and do like a summary version, and I'm gonna bring up the old model to compare. All that's left is a marketable plushie and action figure, that's right. Except I don't know how to make those. So someday, maybe. Alright, so let's look at the old model, and let's look at the new model. I know the new model isn't done, but I want to show you some important things. Some important developments. Some things that look minor, but are actually not minor at all. That are very major. So I'm gonna turn her full wireframe on. We're gonna turn on her thing. And we're gonna compare, because there's some... Check this out. Alright, so I don't know how easy this is to see, because I know my face cam might be in the way. So here's how the two are comparing to each other at the moment. And I want to talk about the knees, because I posted a picture of the knees earlier this week, and the reason why this is important is because the knees illustrate a point that kind of is like, justifies the whole model, which sounds like a crazy statement, but watch this. So if we bend these knees, I want to show you how they look. because I've been working on the full body for the week. We're going to be working on the face today, but the face is complicated, and I got a few things to go through first. But I want to show you just this. Now, this rig that I've got for the new Gabi model, I haven't done anything to the weight paints. This is just, I chucked in a Rigify rig and hit auto weight, and this is the result. So you can kind of tell with the hips, it's a bit off. I have to change where the hip bone is. But if you look at the knees, you'll notice that they actually look like knees. Whereas her old model, it's a bit goofy. You know, it's a bit wacky. It's a bit funky. It's a bit weird. Like if you look at how the knee bends, it bends outwards too, by the way, which is like a bit embarrassing. But you can see that it's like, it doesn't look like a knee. And you can see this clipping still. And this old one was done, I spent like a whole week weight painting it and everything. And it's still kind of like jank. And that's kind of what this is all about. It's about jank. That's the whole point of this model, is to address jank. And jank comes in lots of different shapes and sizes. And you might say, Ray, they're kneecaps. Are they that important? And I would argue they are, because jank, when you look at the model, like when I see people play the game or comment on gameplay footage, they always say something like, this looks awesome, but, and then they might have some little criticism of like, oh, her movement looks a little funny or something along those lines, right? And I've studied that. I've looked at that carefully. A lot of people attribute it to the animation style, but it's not, because other people can do that style. Like the Spider-Man Miles Morales game has that style for one of the skins. No one complains about it there. So it isn't the style. It's instead a bit harder to diagnose, but I think I've done it. And a lot of it comes down to these little details. It's these little things that kind of make it look off. Like even if, the way I see it is, if you can't even get the knee to look like a knee, then the character's not going to look like a character. And I think that's kind of, if you look at it zoomed out, you can see that old Gabi, you know, she kind of looks like an anime girl, right? But there's just something not quite right. But you look at the new one so far, and you can kind of see that it's like, oh, I know what this is meant to be, you know? But with the knee in I know I'm focusing on the knee in particular here, because this kind of takes everything that I've been doing into like a great example here. Because you'll notice that the topology is weird. It probably doesn't make sense. If you're like a 3D animation major or something, and you're looking at this, you're probably going to lose your mind and go, why is he doing it this way? There's reasons why. Part of the reason is because even with auto weights, it's deforming better than the old model, which is a big plus. So imagine how much better it will be once I actually go in and manually adjust some of this, especially because I think there's just one little face there that's a little funky, but a lot of it is really good. And the kneecap, it's like, this applies to the whole body, but this is really easy to see in the kneecap. You'll notice how in the new model, her kneecap actually, you can see it, and you can kind of get a feel for where it is. It feels like that there's muscle underneath and there's like ligaments underneath. Whereas the old model, it looks kind of like a kneecap, but it's not exactly. You'll notice that it like bulges up, which is like not how a knee behaves. And then it kind of pinches out, like it bulges outwards, but that's not how a knee works. Then the new model, however, it's probably not perfect still, but it's a lot better because it kind of curves around. It doesn't bulge out, it curves around. And because of how I've done it, you know, now her actual thigh has like some muscle on it now. I couldn't do that on the old one because it would clip into the leg. Whereas this one, I can actually go and add that stuff, and it looks more like a leg. And then even with the ankles, it extends as far down there too. You'll notice how her old ankle like tapers to a comically thin width, and then goes back out again. It just looks weird. Whereas the new ankle, well, she actually has ankles now. The bone placement is still a little off for the foot, but it looks better. And why am I making a big deal out of the knee? Because it's this same principle that applies to the entire body. I've tried to pay so close attention that everything kind of has that effect where it looks less jank. So it isn't perfect. It isn't like, I don't know. You're never going to be able to get all the muscle and everything because the human body's complicated. But the point is that it looks less off. And that's the point. You want people looking at it, and you don't want them like having that reaction where they look at it a bit and go, like, you don't want that. You just want them to be blown away. So that's sort of there with everything. Like, even with the arms, it's the same deal. I'm very proud of these arms. They still need a little bit of work, but you'll notice that when I bend them, they actually, like, again, auto weights. I haven't done any adjustment. This just I just literally made the rig and the auto parent like auto weights, and it's like bending almost perfectly. It just needs a bit of adjustment on those verts. And why is that good? Because some of you that don't know the pipeline might be wondering, like, well, yeah, isn't that just like how it is? No, that's usually not how it goes for me. Usually, when I first make the rig, the joints don't bend very well, and I have to spend hours, like, hand vert by vert adjusting the weights so that it goes the right way. Which I'm still gonna have to do that a bit. Don't get me wrong, but isn't it better when it just kind of works 90% without doing that, instead of working 50% and then having to like do more work to fine tune it? So that's kind of what I'm learning, because a lot of this topology, for those that, like, you know, have a fundamental understanding of modeling, are probably looking at this and it's like, whoa, this is just like so weird. It's killing me. Why has he got all this? Why has he got this vert stretched and stuff? So I want to make a statement now that if you know 3D modeling and you feel the need to like have a tantrum over how I'm doing it, just like, trust me, I've done like a month of research on this. This is how Arc System works. The developers of Dragon Ball and Guilty Gear do their topology. This is why I'm basically following their instructions to the letter. I've got a bunch of resources and PowerPoints I've been looking through on how they do it, and they do all this stuff, and it probably breaks a lot of the rules of the fundamentals, except they do it deliberately to get polygons that deform nicely, that can be textured with their workflow, and that achieve that stylized anime look. So this isn't probably not how you would you wouldn't model a normal character like this. But when you're doing non-photorealism and style, especially the anime stylized, the rules are different. You can't use the rules that most 3D models use, because it shouldn't look like a 3D model, which is the point. So if you don't want it looking like a 3D model, you kind of have to break some of the rules. So when you see stuff like the shoulder, where it's like weirdly kind of done here with triangles sort of all polling into this point, that's how Arc System Works has their models, and that's how I did my one, and it gives me the results I want. So that's not how I was taught to 3D model, so I had to unlearn a lot of my knowledge to go up this way, but the results kind of speak for themselves, I think, because the old model, I tried to stick more to the rules, and there's a lot wrong. Like, let's just look at the arm. I really want to show you guys how the shoulder, because I redid the whole shoulder yesterday, because I had to like line it up with the edges on the sides of the model. But if we look at the shoulder, I don't know why it's see-through. Why is it see-through? I don't know. I don't know why it's doing that. Can I turn off the see-through? Okay, I don't know what I just did there, but the model is now transparent for whatever reason. But if we take our arm for the old model and move it up, you can see lots of issues. You can see the shoulder clipping into itself, actually, with the transparency. It's terrible. It's bad. It doesn't look like a shoulder. Whereas the new one, if we move that up, you can see, even though the topology isn't like what you would normally do, it works. And even if I go like hyper extended like this and can get it to clip in, well, guess what? A real shoulder wouldn't bend like that. It wouldn't go straight out and then straight up. Because what would happen to your real shoulder is your real shoulder would move the rest of your muscles up. And I have a bone for that. And now look, it doesn't clip. Gabi's old model has a similar bone, but it does not, the topology does not help it. It doesn't really serve the same, like, I can kind of do it, but it still clips in because the topology is bad. Even though it's all quads, because there's this, I see this on Twitter a lot where people say you got to do all quads, which is like not a real thing. Like, that isn't a real thing. The real rule is no n-gons, which is a completely different rule. And that's something I'm sticking to. But the whole, oh, you got to do all quads only, It depends. It's not like a hard rule, and you should really like think critically about it before you, because that's what I thought I had to do for this model, and it got bad results. But then I followed Arc System Works' rules, and I'm liking this better. So that's just another example of the shoulder. You can see that there's like muscle in place and everything now. And why is all that important? And again, I say it's all of that is there. Like the fact that she has like, you know, it looks like there's like a bit of muscle like connecting her arm to the body, and like having an armpit. Like her old model doesn't have one, which is just kind of like funny. Like I've tried to draw one in, but it isn't like really there. It's just faked. And that's all important because it makes it all, like it all comes under the goal of looking less jank. And I think if you show a player this, they're not gonna like most humans, we have like a precursory, like just a cursory idea of anatomy because we have our own bodies, but we don't, most of us haven't studied anatomy. I haven't really studied anatomy. I used to think this wasn't really important, but if it's there, to the average person, they won't be able to know, they won't tell, like, they won't be able to say, oh, cool, she has armpits, she has elbows that bend properly, she has kneecaps. They're not gonna know, they're not gonna, like, be able to point that out. But if that stuff isn't there, they'll say, oh, it looks a little jank. They won't be able to tell you why, but they'll know. They'll just know because we intuitively know what a human should look like. So I know this all seems kind of minor and like these details don't seem that significant. That, oh, why does the shoulder have to like why do the edges have to flow this way? Like it all seems very minor, but it adds up to a cohesive whole that looks less bad. And I think that's really the key. And the reason I'm kind of stressing this so much is because I used to underestimate this. I didn't get it. When I was making this model, I completely disregarded all of it, and I paid a price for it because the model does not look proper. So it's like, still, I know it's probably not perfect, but it's like, you know, the knees bend pretty well, the elbows bend pretty well. The shape is better, like the proportions are better. The legs might need a bit of like, they might be a little too skinny, but I can adjust that, no worries. Like I can just, you know, widen and shrink certain bits. So yeah, this is just like recapping all of my work from last week. So all of this week was like just getting that all welded together and everything. And the reason why the rig's there, because you might be wondering too, Ray, you haven't finished the model yet. Why is there a rig? And that's also deliberate. Because I was looking at Arc System Works presentations, and I'll get those open. Because this is where I've been like, this is the steps I've been following. And one of the first slides they have is this, where they create like this low poly version, and then they create like a more detailed version with the actual character features, and then they like, rest of the L moment, right? Like, then it's just finished. But I noticed that they could pose the character before they had finished modeling it. And they actually explain that the reason they do that is because, yeah, here's the crazy thing, right? They don't even draw, from what it looks like from these presentations, they don't mention anything about drawing it in a T-pose or reference sheets. They don't do it that way. It looks to me like what they do is, their reference sheet is that, where it's just the character in that pose. And they do up the character with rough proportions and then pose it and then compare it in the pose, not in like a T-pose, in like a specific drawn pose. Because the point of this technique is that it has to look like a drawing. It can't look like a 3D model. So you kind of have to break the rules a little. And I mean, hell, their results speak for themselves. I reckon that looks like a drawing. So that's what I'm following. So when I was doing this, the model, I actually do have a lower detail version in here somewhere from 2 weeks ago. I don't know if I can, I think it's just in this stack somewhere. Let me just look for it, because I'll show you the difference. Yeah, so here's my low poly version. And let me hide so here's my low poly version, and here's I'll do them side by side. So that's what I had you know, beginning of the week versus the end of the week sort of thing. So I had that basic thing, and I was just getting the proportions and the general shape of everything, and then I went in and added the detail. And the reason why the rig was there is because I did all these poses. I think I showed these off last stream, but I'll show some of them again for those that missed it. Because I tried posing the character around, because I think getting the character to look like the character, it's more than just doing it in a T-pose. There's a bit more to it than that, I think. So if I go to the rig, I should have some test poses on here. So I have with her arms in her pockets, doing a flip. Because I wanted to see, like, how expressive could I get it? So I tried a bunch of these poses, and it looks even better with the higher poly in, but I was just making these with a low poly at the beginning of the week. But being able to do that before I go and add all the detail, I think was a good move, because now I look back and I can like test how everything deforms, but I can also like get a sense of the character as like these are all just poses. I haven't animated these yet, but they have a lot more personality than the old model. And that to me is really important. And I think that's what a lot of people think that the current model lacks. Like when they look at the gameplay, part of that little bit in their brain that says it looks off is that the character, the design has personality, but the poses don't. And the poses don't because you can't really pose the old model that well because it breaks so much. But if you have one that's a bit better put together, you can do a bit more with the poses and you can create like more personality. And that's a very key principle in like Arc System Works' workflow. So that's, you know, that's kind of, it seems like there's a few reasons that they do all that. Part of it is just to test the weights and the topology, but also to get like the essence of the character there very early. So that's why I've got a rig there. That's not how I've ever done it before. I usually do the whole model first, then the rig, but I actually have really liked doing rigging and modeling at the same time. It's actually been, like, if you understand how both work, it's actually pretty cool. Like, if I have issues like this elbow, I'm not going to focus on this all today, of course, but let's say later when I finish the rest of the model, if I want to like change up this, I might not even do weight paints. I might just like kind of change where all the vertices are on the model and then like weight it. Because I've noticed I've actually done that a little bit throughout this, to like, especially with the knees. Instead of like weight painting, I just changed the topology, because you can do that when you haven't modeled all the detail in yet. It's easy to like modify stuff, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's get to the face, because yeah, there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of stuff going on with the body, but the face in particular has a lot of really weird rules that I've read it, I've looked into it, and I've like familiar with the rules, but I haven't tried it in practice, so it's going to be a bit tricky. Before I do, I'll just quickly, I know I haven't checked chat. I just wanted to do a quick rundown of the progress that's happened since last week and show you guys what's been happening. Thanks, Seeker, appreciate it. How can my computer run that many tabs? Dust your computer every week and you'll be okay. That's the answer. And have 32 gigs of RAM. I think that's how. Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't. I have more than this open, by the way. I have a whole other window that has like another maybe like 80 tabs, which are also open. So I don't know. It shouldn't be able to run this many tabs. But I've noticed that if you just take care of your computer and just like dust it out, blast some compressed air in it, it like a few months ago, I didn't used to do that. And my computer, you'd be able to hear the fans, but I can't hear anything. So it's like, you just get all those dust mites out and then you can run a billion Chrome tabs. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't even address the poly count. That's another thing too. Someone just noticed the poly count. Now, one of my friends on stream asked me about poly count. And this friend, we both like attended the same like 3D modeling course like years ago. I learned absolutely nothing in that class. But now I know why I didn't learn anything, because we were all taught the wrong stuff. And one thing we were taught was poly count. You got to keep the poly count low, and that's like an okay thing to teach, but they kind of didn't go about it the right way. So for some reason, I don't know why it's transparent. This is the old model. I don't know why it's transparent. I just ignore that for the moment. Oh wait, did I fix it? Okay, there we go. So to be fair, to do a fair comparison, we can only really do from the body down, because I haven't started the face on the new model yet, and the face could be a lot. So we're just gonna measure this from the below the neck, because I'm pretty confident with below the neck on the new model. I reckon that's mostly finished. So let's measure it. Now with poly count, as I was saying, I was not thinking about poly count on the new model. I was thinking about it on the old model. On the new, I wasn't even thinking about it. Instead, I was thinking about every vertice, placing it deliberately. I honestly expected the poly count to be much higher. And I didn't care if it was going to be higher. Because, yeah, also let me just join the fingers to the body so we can count those. Join. The vertices are all kind of lined up, but I haven't joined them yet because I want to move some of the bits around, but poly count is probably going to be the same. So let's count from the neck. Old model is... Where is statistics? I keep forgetting where. I only just learned that you could measure this. Okay, so if we count... I don't know which number you're meant to count. If we look at the amount of triangles, I'd say that's fair, because in the engine it turns it into triangles. So we'll use triangles as the poly count. Because I don't know what poly count, because I don't know if that means quads or tris. Let's just go with tris. So the old model is 7. This isn't the armor. This is just underneath. This is just the body. Is 17,000 tris on the old model. Not the face. The face has even more. The face probably has the amount of tris in the whole body, all just in the face. But ignoring the face, the rest of the body, which is lost, you can see all the vertices bunching up. But ignoring the face, 17,000. Oh, wait, no. Okay, no, sorry, my bad. It was counting the face. I'm trying to get it just to count the bits I'm selecting. I don't know if it shows that with the tris or not. Okay, so we might not use tris. We'll use faces, because I think it seems to... So we'll just count from the neck. We'll count faces, which I think is quads. I guess faces is a better measure of poly count. So faces, 4,500 faces. Just the body. The new model, 2,000 faces. So what the hell? It's like half. Less than half, actually. Because it's 4.5... So 4,500 down to 2,000. So that's less than half. Which is like a happy little accident, because I wasn't even paying attention. I wasn't even thinking about it. Because nowadays, even Arc System Works, right? They admit, yeah, like their models are very high poly. They say that our technique requires very high poly characters, but that's like a limitation that is like fine, because the texture resolution is very low, because it can be. There's lots of bones, which means you need lots of polygons. So it's like, that's kind of the... I don't know if it isn't really a disadvantage because it works, but if they tend to describe that their disadvantage with their techniques is just the fact that the characters have to be very high poly. But I don't know, man. 2,000 is not a lot. Like, that is really not a lot at all. Now, to be fair, this isn't with the costume or anything, but it's like, considering the old versus the new, I was honestly expecting the poly count to go up, so this is a big surprise. A big surprise. I wasn't thinking, because, poly count isn't really a big problem today. Most people's computers can handle high poly characters. Like, most AAA games with, like, Lara Croft or whatever, it's, like, way more than this. It's, like, 10,000 tries or something like that. It's crazy. So the fact that we've even made it accidentally optimized is pretty funny. Like, I don't know, I wasn't even thinking about it, so that's hilarious. Anyway, so, yeah. So, even if this model turns up to be, like, a waste of time, I can still say that, hey, well, it's more optimized, so there's another reason why it was a good idea. For Final Fantasy VII characters have 100,000. Wow. See, yeah, like that's an old game. So it's like poly count isn't even. I don't really see it as a big problem for a character model, unless you have lots of them on screen, which I'm not going to do. So it's like, it's not even a big problem. But the fact that we've like managed to optimize it is still just funny. I don't know. Anyway, I'll just check if there's any more questions, and then I'll explain what's going to happen with the face. Now, real quick, I just want to undo and unjoin the fingers, because I want them unjoined for the moment, because I want to look back at them at the end and touch up some things before I join them to the body. Holy cow, did he subdivide 6 times? Yes, that's what I did on the old model. I actually used the subdivider modifier, which was big mistake. Don't use subdivide. Just don't do it. It's terrible. How do I stay organized with this many tabs? I don't know. I know what they're all for, so I don't know. I mean, they're in a group, but there is a lot to have in one group. But I have lots of these little groups. There's probably a better way to organize them, but these are just mostly images. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of the tabs, the face. So the face, so this is where like the witchcraft comes in. And I'm gonna use that word a lot because that's kind of what it is. It is like witchcraft. And I'll say this again. These techniques are like specific. These are not like industry standard. So if you want to make 3D models, don't do it this way unless you want this exact outcome. But if you want to do it the normal way, if you want a normal looking 3D character, do not do what I'm going to do. Do not do this if you're doing it the normal way. The only reason they do it this way is because it achieves a stylized look. So I want to quickly explain some of this for those that might find this confusing. I didn't get this either at first. So if any of you know 3D modeling, you look at this, you go, oh my god, what are they doing? Why are there triangles on the front of the face but quads on the side of the face? Why is the mouth stretched? Why is the eyelashes modeled in? There's a reason for all of that. They do all that on purpose. Let's go through why some of that's done on purpose. Let's look at the mouth. This probably looks like the thing most people look at when they look at one of these, because it looks weird. I don't think most of us have seen a 3D model that looks like this, but there's actually advantages to doing it this way. Let's open up old Gabi again, and let's show you a problem. Because this does solve a problem, and I want to demonstrate it, because I made this mistake. So back when I was making Gabi's first model, I just followed YouTube tutorials, and YouTube tutorials are like mostly pretty bad. That's why I don't make tutorials, because I don't know what I'm doing. So this was me following what everyone in the community was telling me to do. But if we try and animate this, so this is old Gabi, this is her old face topology. If we try and like animate a facial expression here, so let's like move some joints around. Let's open her jaw. Let's move her mouth and let's make it emote. Because anime is very exaggerated, right? Like you gotta have like the big gaping mouth, like for like them looking surprised or whatever. Like, you know how anime is. So you probably can start to see some problems with what I'm trying to do. You'll notice that, well, it's hard to select it all, because it's all like, there's a lot of vertices and stuff, but also the mouth is like deforming really weird. And you'll notice that the shading has been ruined. The shading is like, oh no. I'm just trying to select that one. Yeah, there we go. You'll notice that around the mouth, if I turn off, you see how it like bunches up? You see how the line is going all weird? You see how the shadows are all glitching out? That's not good. That's like breaks the illusion. It looks like a 3D model. And the whole point, remember, the whole point of this is that it doesn't look like a 3D model. It's meant to look like a drawing. And this is not what a drawing looks like. This looks horrible. So how do you solve that? Well, what's even causing it? What's causing it is the fact that I've got like a billion edge loops around the mouth like a normal 3D modeler would do. I don't know how you solve this problem normally for 3D models, but I do know that in Gabi's case, it creates very visible artifacting. It's basically like having my hoodie sleeve and like scrunching it up like that. Like that's what's happening to the mouth. And it's creating all these shading artifacts. So you can avoid that by just not putting in that many edge loops and doing this. That way you can open this mouth really wide and it won't stretch, it won't crumple and pinch the face, and it won't cause all these shading artifacts. So that's why that's there. So throughout the stream, I'm going to be doing stuff like that. And I just want people that are like, that also do 3D modeling to just have some restraint. Because I think last stream I was getting asked like a billion questions, like why not do this and do that? Just don't. Like you're gonna waste your time because this is all not the normal way, but it's on purpose because it's the stylized look. This isn't a tutorial on how to make normal 3D models. This isn't a tutorial at all. I'm just showing you what I'm doing because I don't know. It's entertainment. So this is how mine's looking so far. It's very low detail. This is just the basic. I tried to kind of get the basic edges in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this from the neck and just have it on its own, just so I don't mess up the body. So I'm going to select should I separate it from the neck or from the head? I think I'll do it from the head and keep the neck attached. But yeah, this isn't like, if you're a 3D modeling student, don't do this. Like, this is not for you. This is just, this is like a particular stylized look. Why is it? Usually if I press V, it like, I think I have to do it by selection. That's right. I think if I separate it, if I select the whole face and do separate by selection, it should just chop off the head. There we go. So, apart from because this part we're probably going to get into later with the topology, but the main part is this. This is the main bit that I need to figure out. Because what they do is they have like these edges on the eyebrow and the nose, and then they have the chin, and the chin is actually kind of complicated. They do this trick because the reason why it's done this way is because the idea is that the face, let's close old Gabi. The face needs to look good from this angle. Not from the front, not from the side, from here. Because that's where most anime is drawn from, right? So if you look at it from this angle, it should look like a drawing. So a lot of the little witchcraft that they do, it's to make it look like that. So they have this thing with the jaw, which I want to try and start with. I've kind of got something going there. But they've got this thing where it's like, they model the jaw in a particular way where depending on the angle you look at it from, the perspective changes. Now, I've seen some people try and do this with blend shapes, and I'm not even gonna bother with that because it just seems complicated. So real quick, because this is the modeling talk, I'm just gonna look at some of the other slides, which I haven't screenshotted, because they have a whole little bit here. So part of it is because they also have this thing with their mouth too, by the way, where their mouth is actually like indented inwards on purpose. And I'll show you, I don't know if there's like a picture I can show. I'm trying to just get some other reference open on my screen. But basically, there might be a picture of this somewhere. Because yeah, they do a lot of weird stuff, but it's all, like you see with the mouth, see how it's like bended backwards? That's also on purpose. That's so that when you look at it from the side, it looks like the mouth is like going a bit more inwards, like a drawing would. So they have a lot of little things like that. I think part of the draw as well is that they do a side-by-side comparison and they show like how the line is meant to look. So this is going to be my first attempt doing this. So I don't know what we'll be in for. I don't know what kind of problems we're going to have. But this is the desired result. It's to like get it to look like this. So I'm going to put this on my... yeah, so I'm going to try and keep this open on my other screen. And basically, because I've tried to do like a low poly outline. And we're going to have to add detail So that's the idea. So I'm basically going to try and use this as like as a starting point. So I'm going to make a copy just so I don't mess it up. And we're going to try and like sort it out. Now, something else to keep in mind is that they use 2 different face models in the game. They have a high detail and a low detail version. We're just going to do low detail. Because they have this thing where like they have like a close-up face that's like more detailed. We're not gonna bother with that because it's a bit beyond what we need. So I've got some other model references open. I'm gonna try and like get something going. So what I might do first is I might separate this edge because this whole bit beneath is gonna follow like a different set like edges than the rest. Because we're gonna have the mouth there, and that's where this is like below this line is where all that stretched vertices are gonna be. So I'm just gonna like separate that out and just focus on above the eyes. I want to start with the eyes, I think, and just get like a shape going. And again, this is like my first time trying to do it, so this isn't gonna be like the perfect expert way, but I need to make a face. So it's like, you know, there's a first time for everything, and the best moment is the present. But the idea is to get this, I'll like get a screenshot of one of their faces. So this is one of the Arc System Works model faces. So this is kind of what I'm trying to sort of have, like this nice sort of, I'm going to start just with the eye because it looks like the easiest place to start, I think. And I will separate, because I also noticed that the hair line and the forehead have different topologies, so I'm going to separate that too. Because I think the hairline, they do this thing with the hairline that's like kind of weird, but there's also a reason for it. So I'm just going to separate. I just got to think about where I want it to. I think I just want to take this edge and just separate it for the moment. Because I just don't want edges to go around the rest of the head yet. I just want to focus on the front, and we'll worry about connecting it up later. Because as I've been doing the rest of the body, I'm finding it helpful. Because yeah, see now I can create this edge, and I can not have it ruin the rest of it. Because they do have this thing I've noticed where they have like a lot of densely packed polys on the face that don't wrap around the rest of the head. So if that's how they do it, that's how I'm going to do it. Am I going to do shape keys? No, probably not. Arc System don't seem to do shape keys from the research I've done. They seem to just have it all with bones. So that's what I'm going to do. And also, I've never used shape keys. I don't know how well they work in Engine, and I don't want to find out. I've already got enough to learn, so it's like, I'm just going to stick to what I know for where I can. I'm already taking on lots I don't know. I understand, like, I know that there's, like, reasons to use shape keys, but, like, I don't know enough about them. It's a risk. I'm taking lots of risk already, so it's, like, best to probably avoid it, if needed. Like, the way I'm seeing it, if Arc System can do it all with bones, then I'll just do what they do. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. So again, I'm just kind of, like, focusing on one area. I'm not going to worry about the rest of the head. I'm just focused. So that's why I'm separating this out. So it's just isolated. Because I found that to be helpful doing the rest. That's what I did for everything else. I did that for the hand. I did that for the arm. I would separate them out and then do things and then connect them up afterwards. And that's worked out pretty all right. So that's what I'm going to do here. They don't talk about that in their talks. They don't go into specifics on how they do all that modeling. But that's what I'm finding that's working, so I'm just going to do that. Have I considered collaborating with a programmer for Project Feline? I have. It was bad, so no, I'm not going to do that again. This is something the devlogs haven't caught up with yet, because this is all from earlier this year, and the devlogs are still a bit behind. I do have a devlog I'm working on currently, but this is all kind of from more recently. I'm not sure how to really go about it because it's complicated, but we had a bunch of these level tools made. And they were like, they looked good on the surface, but when I was trying to like use them and expand them, they like were just so jank and broken. So yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm not letting people touch the code for this anymore. I'm just gonna sort it myself. So yeah, I tried that, didn't like it. Not gonna do it. A lot of, yeah, so there was a lot of weird technical problems because this is like level tool stuff, so this was like very important that it's like built right because it's going to be used for the whole game. And there was a lot of weird stuff. Like this isn't me being like, oh, I don't like reading other people's code, my code's better. It's not like that. It's like there are just general principles that just weren't followed. So some of you programmers in chat might understand like inheritance and classes, components, object-oriented design, that kind of stuff. So with these tools I had made, they didn't follow any of those principles. Like if we had a tool, like a spline tool for, because I think I mentioned in one of my videos, this is when the tools were made, and they have since been unmade, and they're gonna get remade. But I showed off this tool in my last devlog where I could create splines out of like materials to create geometry for the level. What I didn't tell you, because I didn't know this yet, because I didn't look at the source code for these tools until after I made that video, when I actually went and looked at the code, I found that each level was using a different copy. That's right. It isn't not inherited, not anything. Like literally copy, spline tool, like spline tool class, copy paste, spline tool lab, copy paste, spline tool port, and all the classes are exactly the same. They are the same class, but they were copy pasted for each level for no reason. And I was like, man, because I had to spend weeks cleaning that up, and it was bad. It was terrible. It was such a waste of time. I could have just done it myself, and that's what I learned that lesson the hard way. As like, man, if you want something done right, you just got to do it yourself. So that's what I've been working on in the background. I've just been kind of trying to like clean it and refactor it so that we don't have like duplicate blueprints for each level that are all identical. Because look, I'm no programmer, but that sounds stupid, doesn't it? Like I don't have a degree or anything, but just common sense, that seems like a bad way to do it. And a better way would be having like a component or a class, or just using the same class and adjusting a variable maybe and inheriting it. There might be an even better way, but from my understanding, that would be better than just copy pasting it, because that's just because I used to do that. I used to make that mistake and I paid a price for it. I used to do that early in development with Gabi. I would like copy paste things like the health and then make a identical health component for the enemy, which is just like, it's just bad. Like it doesn't sound like a big deal to anyone who's not a programmer. It might not sound important, but that's where tech debt comes from. And you probably have been hearing that buzzword a lot lately with a lot of like AAA releases. And tech debt, you don't want it. It's bad. It's why games get development hell. So that was my story of having someone else do programming. So we're not doing that anymore. I thought it would be quicker, but it's just not. It's just quicker to do it myself. So I'm just looking at, because they have this other thing as well with the face. I've got a reference. So this is one of Arc System Works' models that I'm just using as a reference. So this isn't my one, this is one of theirs. And they do this thing where they have like the eyelid also stretched, so that way they can have the eyes go up and down and blink without deforming too weirdly. So I'm just trying to look at how they've done that. And I'm not going to get into the eyelash, that's probably going to be something I do later. I'm also not going to bother with like these little details, like with the whites of the eyes. I'm just not going to bother with that because I don't want that on my character. But I'm just looking at the general flow of the edges and how they all kind of go together and applying that to my own model. I have another one too that's like got hair in the way. It's a bit harder to see, but this one's a bit lower poly. So I've got this as my low poly reference, and you can see this one does not have the little pink thing there, which I don't want to have that on mine. But it's I don't know how to remove the hair from it, so it's like, because it's all combined. So I'm just trying my best to like kind of like estimate out things like, oh, okay, well what are they doing there as like a reference? Because yeah, this is my first attempt. Having reference is handy. Just give me a minute. I'm just trying to like just look at the model to see how they do it. They use tries for a lot of these bottom bit, but I want to do the tries later because it's easy to create tries from quads. It's hard to do it the other way around. I'm gonna like move into the nose. I think that's what I want to try. I might move these up because that seems to be kind of where that is, and this seems to go a bit higher as well. So I'm gonna like move into the middle. I don't want to go too, because I want to kind of like do little bits on each part and then go over them and over them and over them. So that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it. Because if I stare at something too long, I just get, yep. 3D with Lard says, using a component to house functionality is considered best practice. Inheritance is a don't unless you have to, and if you think you have to, you probably don't know what you're doing. I would say yeah, because that's something I've kind of, I kind of went through phases where I was doing inheritance and then I was doing components, which is what I do now. Like everything is a component for me now, because the reason I didn't do them is because I didn't know they existed. I just didn't know, and I was like, oh wait, I can make this a component. So that's kind of what I try and stick to. But yeah, the guy I had working on tools didn't like, he would use components too, but then he would like copy paste a component and change a variable and that be like a new variant. And it's just like, why? Like, did you think about this? Like this is going to cause like a lot of issues later, but I guess he just didn't care. So it's, I mean, to be fair, yeah, like it's my game. I can't expect anyone else to care about it more than me. So that's fair enough. I'm just trying to be, because I think what they do here is that they have like a few edge loops going through the nose, but I don't know where they end up. I don't know where they get put in. I think they all kind of merge. It looks like they merge them all at the eyebrow, so we'll get a few of that bit of that going on. Because then I think they use some of these to create texture seams too. So can I create like a? I know it's a bit funky here. But they seem to have a few edge loops going through the nose to give it that curvature. And they actually have nostrils modeled in, which is pretty cool. I don't know if we'll go that far. We might. Depends on how it looks. It might look really good, so maybe. And it looks like... Okay, well they've got like other edge loops. They have like another ring of edge loops going through here, but I don't know if we'll go that far. But I think we might narrow this a little. So... Alright, I'm just trying to think what, because it's hard to like do it all in one section and then do it all in the next. So I'm just trying to be iterative about it, because this is all very uncharted territory for me. So I'm kind of just adding bits and pieces. We might do a bit on... I'm just trying to look at what the next little area to focus on. I know the cheek's going to be kind of complicated, so I'm not sure whether to tackle that yet. I think, yeah, we probably should. Because the cheek, they have like a lot of stuff going on. So the main thing I'm looking at is I've got some edges in there. It's not as many, obviously. So I'll separate this because I just want to get into the right segments, and I'll show why in just a bit. So I'm going to separate that. Now, actually, this is actually brilliant. You notice this? What I just did? I just separated the verts, but you'll start to see that now it looks like there's a shadow on the face. Do you see it? Like where the jaw and the front of the mouth. So that edge placement's quite good, actually. I know it's not as detailed, but I have got those basic edges. I try to put them in the right place beforehand. Just in this, you see in the lower bit here, because you can see it. Because when we do all the normal editing stuff, that's where I want the shadows to be. So what we can do is, for every like vert that's like on this face, we have the normals adjusted facing one way, and then on this side we have the normals adjusted to go another way, and it creates this natural shadow in the mesh. Now my old model didn't have that. That's why the shadows look weird. So this is like very low detail, but the principle, like you can start to kind of see, because you look at a drawing and that's kind of how they do it too, right? Like, I don't know if I can use the cell shader to like rotate this. Yeah, you see the shadow going across the, like that's how I draw it when I do my drawings. Do I have my sticker sheet open? Yeah, like if you look at my little sticker sheet here, which is available, linked in description, you can see on Gabi's, like, it's a very low detail, but you see on like the cheek, it like follows the same shape. That's exactly it. That's what we want. So that's kind of cool that it's already there and I haven't even finished modeling it. Like, that's pretty sick. Because that's the kind of thing we're talking about. And this isn't like normally in 3D modeling, you don't even really think about this stuff. Like, this isn't a thing you typically want on a normal model, but this is not a normal model. This is anime moment. So they do this, they have this interesting thing that they do to merge it with the chin. So I'm just wanting to pay attention to that. But I have hold on, here's the diagram I was trying to find. This is the idea to get the shadows going. So they have like that side, that's the segments. So that's how I'm trying to think of it, is that there's segments, separating it out, breaking it down into these segments. You've got the yellow segment through the middle. You got the red segment, which is kind of where the eye sort of is like that side. And then you've got the blue, which is like the side of the face. So, and these are all, when you model it this way, you can adjust the normals on those little mesh areas, and you can get the shadows to go in those areas. So that's the idea. Except, yeah, the trick is adding definition and detail without ruining it. That's the challenge. So I've separated this out, and that you see, this is separate from this face, and that's done so that I don't mess up this. Because what we'll end up doing probably is deleting these faces and then merging them all into the mouth. That's probably what's going to happen. So I'm just keeping it separate for the moment. A lot of programming chat. Sorry, I've been trying to pay attention to chat, but I'm also trying to learn how to model faces, so it's a bit tricky. But yeah. But to answer that question from earlier, yeah. So I'm no programming expert, but I feel like, well, the guy I got to do it, I had like a better grasp on the fundamentals than he did, as demonstrated by the work. So I'm just like, yeah, it's just, and it's expensive. Like, to get someone that knows better, it's probably going to cost a lot more. And it's like, well, I could just do it. So that's what I'm going to do for that. And my programming has improved a bit. It's still like probably not perfect, but it's like, it's good. It's good enough. Like, it's the kind of good enough where it's like, okay, this isn't like Game Jam quality. Like, this is like not gonna break. This isn't gonna have some weird unforeseen problem in like 6 months. Like, because that's the stuff I have to think about all the time. It's something I've tried to put into words in a devlog, but it's hard to describe. It's so complicated because it's the kind of programming that's like not what most beginners will like understand, because that's why I don't participate in game jams anymore. It's just a waste of time for me, because I used to do, I'd done like 20 of them. I'd done a lot. I won a few, and it's like, they were fun, but they teach such bad practice. Like, it's kind of detrimental at that point to even participate for me, because it like encourages bad practice, because the whole thing is, oh, just like, you got one weekend, just do it, like, and just make the game. And it's like, you can't act that way in a real game. Like, you have to act way more responsibly in a real game. You can't get away with that stuff there. And that's yeah. Like, it's great for beginners, don't get me wrong, and I used to really enjoy them, but I had to stop because it was just damaging. And it wasn't like, there's no point, because it's like, this is not going to further my goals in any way. So I stopped, and I haven't looked back. It's probably good if you're like in a creative rut, I will say. I reckon if you're like burned out and need like an entry point, that's fine. I reckon that's great for that. But if it's like, I don't know, I think you got to be careful. You got to be real careful. So I'm just looking at the reference, because they have lots of edge loops. That's probably all for the mouth. So we might not be able to add more until we get the mouth in, because all of the edge loops along this correspond with the shrinking to the mouth. So the amount of verts on the mouth will probably affect how many verts are here. So that's probably as much detail as I can add without just being thoughtless and random about it. But is there anything I can do to kind of improve? Because I just want to look at the edge, the placement of everything, and see if it's going the right way. Because I think the general shape isn't there. We could do a little bit better, I think. I think some of these need to come a bit further forward. And the placement kind of does matter a lot, because it changes how it's like shaded, where the shadows go and stuff. So it's like, I just want to make sure I've done I'm probably going to have to adjust this a lot, but it's like, I just want to make sure I've got like something good in place. So I think this might need to be spread out. Like, this has to come a bit further back. And this might, I think the whole forward bit, I think this has to, I'm trying to select the vert that's there. This has to come like further back. But some of this has to come a bit forward to create like this cheek shape. So, and I want to see as well if I can I'm going to like merge I'm going to separate, oh, not that. I just want to take that. Yeah, I want to take that off, and I want to merge this into that. Because this is meant to follow. Oh. So I know, I'm putting them in just moving them out of the way for the moment. But don't worry, this will all get merged later. I'm just focusing on each segment, because when you look at something like this, with all the rules, because I still don't really understand them, because I haven't done it. Usually after I've done it, I get it, but this is what we're doing now. But you look at all this, and it's just an overwhelming amount of detail. So I'm just not focusing on the rest of I'm just focusing on the cheek, and just thinking about just breaking it down into the parts that make up the face. Because the cheek seems to be a very important structure that kind of, well, it houses the face. And that's kind of why I want to focus on that for a bit now, because it's like, I think that'll influence a lot of the decisions I make about the rest of the face if I get the cheek in place. And just, yeah, so I'm just focusing on that to like not get overwhelmed with the amount of other stuff. So I'm looking at it, and I'm just using my imagination to just like censor out the rest of it and just focus on like, not even all the edge loops. I'm just focusing on like 3 of the edge loops in the cheek and trying to get like a similar shape. And because the rest of it is like context dependent. Like, some of those edge loops are not gonna be the same on my one probably. And they connect to bits that I don't have. So I have to like pick and choose which edges can I like appropriate into this, which can't I appropriate, you know? Like, it's a bit of a jigsaw. So so they have it where this kind of comes forward, which is kind of interesting. I think it gives the cheeks that kind of roundness. I think that's what that's meant to do. Yeah, so the face is meant to, it's stretched. That's how it's meant to be. By the way, because there's probably going to be people joining like midway through, and if people are there, for those that were here at the beginning that watched me explain everything, if someone asks a question about like the lips being stretched or the pulleys being arranged, and if you could like just help me out and just like, if you remember what I said, just like write that in chat if someone asks, that would be a huge help, because I just don't have time to like answer every question about the technique because it's complicated. And I am working, so it's like I want to try and I'll explain bits where I can, but I'm gonna try not and repeat myself too much because it'll just take up time. So I'm adding these. I'm only trying to add like more edge loops where I see it influencing the shape. Because this has a bit more of a curve here. Alright. I'm just looking at where that ends up. Like, as I follow it up, where does it go? I think it kind of seems to go up here. And... it looks like the eyebrow doesn't actually connect to this part. The eyebrow connects further up, so we'll make... I'll just move that up, and now I know I don't have the rest of these here yet, but I'm just going to move this to remind myself to go back later and to like change some of this. So we're going to delete this triangle, and we're just going to fill that with a quad. Because the eyebrow line doesn't... it merges up into like the hairline. Like this blue line I've marked. That's kind of where the eyebrows are, and it goes... it actually is... it's a bit too curvy. I gotta flatten it out a bit. So, I'm gonna like... oh, I just want to like unweld that. So I remember to come back. Because that's gonna get... I'm gonna have to like work on other bits and come back to that. Just because a lot of this depends on like what I do with the rest, so... But the idea is that the eyebrow will like merge into like the back here, but I don't want to like mess this part up yet. So I'll just leave that as a reminder to look at later. That looks a bit better. Okay. Let's look at the bottom, because the bottom is really weird. Like, that's for reference, that's how theirs looks, and it's weird, but I know it's all deliberate, so it all probably has a reason. It's just deciphering it. It's deciphering the code. Now, I've actually... have I? No, this is the original. I thought I had like turned it into quads, but this is just the original. So they have like a weird texture glitch here, so I don't know what that's about. But it looks like they have an edge. So they have a whole set of edge loops going from behind the ear to the chin. So let's check if we've got that. And we do. Great. I've got that's the edge loop on my one. It's in a similar spot. That's my version of it. It's not as complicated, but it's the same idea. Except it's positioned so I'm just going to select it on their model and just track, because mine is a little... the proportions are not... I think theirs goes even further behind the jaw, which will affect the shading. So I just got to be careful. Yeah, so they... oh, interesting. Theirs goes like around a little different. So the chin it's difficult, because I'll get the slide open where they show the chin. This is why the chin's complicated, because they have to do this thing where they have an edge that's like where the jaw is, but they have to split it into two edges and push one of them further back. And that's done so that when you look at the face from the side, it doesn't look like the face is stretched, because they have this thing, and this is where it gets like witchcraft. This is where it gets complicated. Because I didn't get this, it took me like a few days to understand this, but they have this rule, because this is based on, remember, it's got to look like a drawing. So they have this rule where the face from the front and the face from this angle and the face from like the side is the same width when you look at it from either angle. So if you look at it from, if you like measure it, the width, it has to be the same from the front and from this side. If it isn't, it'll look slightly off. It'll look elongated. And I think they have a slide showing that. They show a before and after somewhere. I don't know which slide it was. But they show a comparison, and it's very interesting. I just don't know if I've got it on me right now. But essentially, if it looks elongated, and they also have a thing where the edge of the ear has to like kind of match to look like the draw is drawn over the top of the face. And if you don't do that, it'll look like a model. It won't look like a drawing. So it's a very minor. It's a very minor thing, right? Like it looks innocuous. It's just two edge loops. What's the big deal? But it all kind of creates the illusion. And you can actually see if you look at where the red line is, because the red lines on this diagram are showing where the camera is looking from, and you'll see that if in the first image on the left, if the camera's at that angle, the face is going to look slightly out of proportion if you just have the one edge loop. So they flatten that edge and have it go across, so the face doesn't look off. It looks like, it doesn't look like elongated from the side angle. Now, I think some people I've seen use shape keys to like change the geometry of the shape depending on the camera angle, but like, we're not going to do that because it's just complicated. I know this is complicated, but I understand this. I don't understand shape keys. And I don't know how they work in the engine. So we're just not going to go there because there's too much risk. This, however, doesn't require any other setup. It doesn't require... It's not going to... I know that if I model it this way, it'll import exactly like this in Unreal. So we're going to do that. So let's look at my jaw from the top. And I might hide the body just so that I can see it better. Can I look at it from the... Yeah. So let's compare. So if we look at it... Oh, yeah. So if we look at how they do it, I just got to keep an eye on where the edges are. Can I... Let's rotate it to face the same way. So I don't know if I've... Oh, okay. It looks like I am missing... Except I don't know, I gotta just keep track of which edge is meant to touch the ear. Because one of these is, I think it might be the blue one. I think one of them is meant to touch the ear. I don't know about the other. So I gotta like make sure that it's, you know, it's like in the right... let me go find it. There is another slide I have to look at. It might be this one. Because there's maybe it's not that one. Might be this. Because one edge is meant to go in front, one's meant to go behind. I just got to remember which one it is, and then we'll be good. It's just it's like an hour-long slideshow, so it's like there's a lot. I just spend like a week reading this to like understand it all. So I just want to make sure I get this right. Oh. Here is the slide showing what I mean with the face width. So it has to measure, like the jaw width has to be the same. And then, yeah, here's the before and after. I'll show you this. So that's kind of why. Because if you don't have it, that's how it looks. And if you do it that way, you get this crease here, and then the jaw... You notice how the jaw looks a bit stretched in the old one, whereas in the after it looks... correct. So that's what we're trying to do here, to make the proportion look good from that angle. Because weirdly enough, because I didn't get it at first, like why does it have to look good from that angle? But if it doesn't, it's like what I was saying earlier. It's like the jank, you know, it looks jank if it isn't right. So I just want to... There's some picture I'm trying to look for that actually shows... It might be this. Now, I know it's all in Japanese, but I know roughly what they're saying here. I just gotta... The thing I'm trying to figure out is which of these corresponds to the line. Because if I get them off, I'm going to waste a lot of time. So, they use a green line. I think it's the same... Is that the same green line? It could be. Yeah, I think, yeah. So I think the green line has to connect not at the ear, but further up. I think that's how it is. And then the blue line connects. So the ear is going to be wedged, I think, in between those. Or like here, in between these two. I think that's how it is. I just want to just quickly skim through and just make sure. I'm pretty confident that's what it is, but I just want to like check through the thumbnails just to make sure. I think, okay. I think, let me just move this. So, I'm just gonna look at one of the models. Oh, I just want I want the bottom view. Yes. So this, I just gotta look at where this goes. I think this has to go further back a little. Okay, so they actually they have another edge there, and that is then meant to connect to the ear. So I knew, yeah, I had something wrong there. Now I know. So that, yeah, so we can get rid of this. The ear is, oh, it's gonna be tricky. Not sure how I'm gonna handle that. I might leave that to the end. Because I've done it very rushed here, but the idea is that the ear is kind of meant to like, it's meant to have another, it's not meant to come to one vert. It's meant to be a bit wider. But I might, oh, this actually might be forward a little too much. Or is it? No, I think this is fine. Actually, yeah, this is fine, because this actually does connect further up. Then they have some other edge at the back, so we won't worry about that. Whoa. So that's where that edge seems to go, and we'll just merge that. There we go. So that's, I'm looking at the reference. It's a lot closer to what they've got. Now let's like, because I've just gone and cut it in. We'll try and like make it a bit rounder, so it doesn't look like I've just gone and added it. Now it's done something weird here. I gotta look at theirs. It's meant to, yeah, this is not meant to be that wide. I might clear this. Mark this one. I'm just using mark sharp just to like keep track of things. I don't have the normals done yet. Those are going to come later. I am a bit worried about this part though. This was from the low poly. I feel like there's meant to be other things going on here. It looks like, okay, no, I've got it. Yeah, I think I figured it out. Some of these edges, because they don't connect up properly. So we'll delete this. Because they aren't meant to pinch shut like that. They're meant to spread, then, yeah. So I'm just gonna delete this face. Because that edge is, now that we've got that there, it is meant to go out like that. And then these faces shouldn't be here. Have I seen Garten of Banban Topology? No, I haven't. I don't know what that is. I'm just gonna like move this vert to the middle so it welds. That's how it's meant. So there's meant to be just one, sorry. I used to have a keyboard with a numpad and it was a bit easier to navigate the camera, but I don't have a numpad. So I'm just using like keys on my keyboard to like rotate the view, and I keep forgetting which one is meant to be top. Because on the keypad it makes a bit more sense because of the layout. It's like intuitive, and I'm just using my normal number row at the top of the keyboard, so I get a bit lost. That could probably go. That can probably go. Okay, this is looking better. The only problem is the way that this connects doesn't look right. Or maybe this has to come, yeah, this has to come lower down. That's it. Because that then creates this loop going around like the chin like this, which looks better. Yeah, see the curve? That's what I want. But it does look I think that let's just move that out. That's a bit, is it? This has to come in a bit more, I think. Oh, I must have, oh, I think you can see I've moved it down too much. Let's fix that. So this is like kind of, this circle here looks like where the chin shape is predominantly controlled. And then this ends up feeding into the mouth once we get it. Blender with no numpad? Oh, shut up. Okay. I have all this desk space instead, which I prefer most of the time, although a numpad would be nice. Oh no. So wait, hold on. Okay, I gotta look at this now. What are you guys talking about? What is it called? Garden of Banban. Oh no. If I search topology, is it gonna come up with stuff? Is this what you guys mean? Oh. 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 I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Okay, I'm gonna need some backstory on this. What? Okay, look. There might be a reason, because I used to judge stuff like this. I would be judging my own work like this, but maybe he's got a reason to do it this way. Maybe he did. Maybe he also researched a Japanese game studio's documentation and came to the conclusion that this was the way. Maybe. Maybe not, but maybe. How do you guys find this stuff? How do you find this? But guys, it's nanite. We can just, it doesn't matter, guys. It's we just put a UE5 and just nanite. We don't need UV maps anymore. Yeah, we don't need, yeah, the engine will just optimize it. Easy. Okay, let's stop. Is that what he did? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to say. Could be a reason. Could not be. Don't know. But what I will say is that I get like triggered when people use the word nanite. I do remember there was like when UE5 was like announced and they were showing off like the nanite tools. And for those who don't know what nanite is, basically they were like advertising that you could just put sculpts in Unreal and it would just work. And then everyone was saying, take that 3D modelers and UV mappers and retopologizers, your job is over. We don't have to do that anymore. And it's just like, maybe you should still do it though? I don't know, maybe. Like, it's cool, but like, why would you need billions of polygons on a character model? Actually, to be fair, I don't know if nanite is meant for skeletal meshes, but I see them use it on environments and it's all like high detail and stuff. And I just look at it and I don't know, I just feel sick. Like, I can't look at it. It's just like, why? It's just so excessive. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned. Because I was taught how to do retopology and stuff. And it's like, maybe I'm just attached. But it's like, I don't know. Do we need a billion polygons? Do we need it? Like, doesn't it feel better when it's like done right? I don't know. It does for me. Now, I'm just looking at the neck, because the neck is there has to be an edge going across here, which I don't have. So but cutting one in is not easy. So I might just try and carve one out here. Because they have... Yeah, because I'm just looking at the edge flow, which is a bit hard to do with these models because of the tries. But I'm looking at the way... I'll show you the diagram. I'm looking at where these go. And the edge loop, my one goes up like that. Theirs goes across. And I'm going to do that too, because there's probably a reason they do it that way. And I'm just learning to trust whatever they do because it's working. So their neck does not go down like mine. Like, just to show you what I mean, their neck doesn't do that. Their neck does not go outwards into the jaw. And there's probably a rigging reason. If I had to guess, I could argue with it and say this is fine, but because I haven't rigged the neck yet, there might be a reason they do it that way. So I'm going to trust them. I'm not going to argue with how they've done it, because they know more than I do. So I'm just gonna like pay attention to what they've got. So it looks, I think actually oh wait, no, that doesn't quite line up. Because I want to make sure I get this right, because then I can move on to other bits. But if the neck part ring is all wrong, then it's gonna be hard. I'm just looking at, because yeah, the problem is this edge goes out. This edge loop should not go into the neck, and mine does. Theirs doesn't. This has to like curve back around into itself. But these three still have to be here. But this has to go under it. It's a bit like cable management, actually, if you think about it. And I love cable management personally. I know not everyone's a fan, but these edges are just like cables, and it's like, well, these got to get routed a certain way, like this. Yeah, so it has to go under like that. And then I don't know. We'll look at that bit later, but I just want to get this bit right. So that's how their cables, i.e. edges, that's how theirs work. That's what they do. Except I have now... Oh no, something's not adding up here. Something isn't adding up. Oh no, okay, no it is. It's kind of... Because the thing is as well is that they have these rules, and I've got a few of their models open, and they're all slightly different. Like the edge flow is all slightly different, but it's like kind of the same. So one of their models has a triangle there, and some of them don't. And I'm not sure if there's a reason. But this is the part where I kind of have to make my own choice and go, okay, well, what's best for my model? So we could do it like that and try and like weld these shut. But I think there's a better solution. You got to be thoughtful. I just got to think. There's got to be a better way to kind of resolve this. I think actually, yeah, there is. I think if we weld this and then weld that. But I'm still wondering, because on the PowerPoint slide, they don't have a triangle here. They have it all quads, and it lines up somehow from the looks of it. So I just want to like think if I want to also do that, or if I'm fine with this. Because the edge now goes around and back like it should, which is great. And now that I'm actually looking at it, I can see that these need to... Oh, no. No, these need to come out like this. This creates... Because a lot of these edges, like actually... Yeah, you can see it now. You see that? It actually changes the silhouette of the face. So this actually does need to come a bit further up. And this needs to go a bit further up too. And the silhouette of that jaw is really important in anime. Maybe not in other models, but in anime models, they are very important. I'm wondering actually if I can just do this. Because that's a bit better, I think. Let me just look at theirs. Okay, yeah, this will actually work, because that try kind of wasn't doing anything. I'm liking this, because it's a bit cleaner. I think it isn't exactly what they do, but I don't see this. This looks okay. I think we'll leave that. Now, these edges, that needs to come around as well from the looks of it. Because these just stop here and that looks bad. So we're gonna work on these. Would I consider making LODs? No, I don't think that'll be necessary. So yeah, like a lot of, with that, on that topic, we might as well discuss it. Arc System Works has LODs, kind of. Not the normal way. It's like half LODs. And what do I mean by that? Well, I want to show you a video. It's in one of my big list of tabs. I want to show you a video. So I've been like opening like cutscenes of Arc System Works just to look at them. So this is, for those that haven't seen what the end result is meant to look like. So all this weird witchcraft I'm doing, it's because I want it to look like this. Now, if you pay attention, so this is how Arc System Works does LODs. Look at the face, look at the eyes, look at the hair, pay attention. See how the eyes, we'll get to a, yeah. You guys see that? So you see how on our eyes, they have the little, I don't know what these pink bits are called, but you've got them. It's these like little bits at the end of the eye. These little pink dots. They've got those at the corners. The eye, look at the shading. You see how like they've got like 2 rings of shading and they've got like 2 little specular bits on the sides and it's very, very colored and textured. And the hair has all these little tiny strands. It's actually clipping through on that frame. But they've got like all those little, so that's all modeled by the way, which is impressive. It's awesome. And the lips, look at the lips. You see how it's got a bit of like a shape there? It's got a bit of texture to it. You see how the eyelash has like a little bit of like the bottom? Okay, let's skip ahead. You see this frame? All that detail I just mentioned. Where did it go? Where is it? This looks like a different model. It is, but it isn't. Because the body is the same model, but the head is a different model. It's only the head. And they do this so that I think this is in-game. I haven't played the game. I've just been studying it a lot. But this is in-game, and this is like a cutscene where they do lots of close-ups on the face. And in the close-ups, they have this high detail face. But in the gameplay, they do low detail. So what I'm doing is, and you'll actually notice there's some proportional differences too, which is another deliberate trick. You'll notice that the eyes on this model are actually bigger than the high detail one. So they actually make the eyes bigger because it takes up less space on the screen and they want it to read better when you look at it from a distance. So in this version, the eyes are actually smaller, but because this face is only used on close-ups, it looks fine. And this is actually, I think this is how the traditional animation is also done, where they will draw the eyes bigger if it's like smaller on camera. So it's a bit hard to tell because this is like a very close-up shot still, but in game these characters are a lot smaller, so those details become much more noticeable. And if the eyes are that complicated in game with the characters taking up like a less than a third of the screen, all that detail is just gonna look bad. So they just simplify it and make the eyes bigger. Now, my strategy is that I can't be bothered to model all that face detail. So I'm just gonna do the low detail version straight up. That's my strategy. Because I don't need all that other stuff. I don't need the eyes to have a bottom lash. I don't need the little bits on the eyes. I don't need the eyes to be like the irises to be that detailed. I don't need that stuff. So I'm just not going to bother with the high detail face. So I'm just going to do, yeah, just the low detail. That's it. So I guess I technically am doing LODs, but I'm just doing LOD 1 and stopping. That's kind of the idea. So the references I've got are actually all higher detail than, because I'm not gonna go like this face is one of the high detail faces. You can see it because it has like all of the, so I'm not going this far. I'm just gonna like go close but not fully. But yeah, I'm not gonna do any more like lotting besides, well, that's, I guess because I'm only doing the one, it doesn't even really count as lotting at that point, I guess. But yeah, there isn't really a reason for me to do more than that. And if I like I have to either make more LODs, or if I auto generate them, it's gonna mess up the textures. So there's just kind of no point because of the technique. Doing LODs would not like. Have you guys seen like auto generated LODs before? I don't know. If you have, you'll know what I mean. They look hideous topology wise, but it doesn't really matter for most cases if it's hideous because it's like the low detail bit. But because of each edge in this model, because of the way it's textured, the way it's UV mapped, a lot of the UV map relies on the edges being in specific spots. So I don't think generating a LOD would work. It just would break the texture. So but that's a limitation I accept. Hell, the character's only like 2,000 polys so far, so I'm not really that worried. Like it's not even that bad. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. And there's only going to be one of Gabi on screen, so it's like, yeah. So I'm just, because I'm just looking at the edge flow of the jaw, and I want to get this. I want this edge. Oh no, there is a vert there already. Okay, cool. I just want that separate. Because I want this to create. Because we're gonna need another edge there eventually. So I'm just looking at their edge flow and I'm trying to get something similar going on. That's all I'm doing. But yeah, I was not looking forward to the face, I will say, because the face looks like it has the most rules to follow. It's complicated. So I was expecting this to be the hardest. It kind of is. It is a bit tricky. But it's got to get done. So it's like, you know, got to power through it. It's probably going to be a lot I learn as I go. Oh, okay, this makes sense. Because this edge will actually smooth out the jaw. And if the jaw looks too sharp, it's going to break the illusion. So it's kind of neat. I just got to look at how they resolve these. Where's my PowerPoint? I have the slideshow open. Oh, no, wait, I don't have it quite right. Okay, so maybe I do have too many edges. Because these two edges don't, maybe those can come there. But because I'm just looking at the edge flow and this needs to, I've almost got it. It needs to follow that shape and come out there. But then it looks like it, I'm doing that edge loop. I've got the little one there. Oh, wait, no. Oh. Oh. Okay, I think I'm, okay. I just gotta look at it, because yeah, a lot of the time, I have to like move around the verts a certain way, and then it'll make sense. Will Gabi have a voice actor? I get asked this a lot. So far the answer is no, because voice acting is expensive, and it's risky, because not only do you need to afford a voice actor that's good, you also need to be able to direct them. And a lot of indies can't. And I'm not trying to be mean. It's just what I notice. Like, you guys could probably think, you could probably like name a few games that are like indie, you know, low budget, and the voice acting is just like kind of turns you off from it, and it's just like, ugh, this sounds like very amateurish or something, right? Like I find a lot of games with that problem. How do you solve something like that? Well, you got to put in a lot of work to make the voice acting sound good. And it isn't just getting a good actor. You got to like know how to direct them. You got to have a good script. There's a lot you got to get right. One way you can avoid, like one way you can like, you know, solve that problem is just to not do voice acting and substitute it, which is the option I'm liking because it's cheaper and it's less risky. Because yeah, you gotta base, like, I've tried doing voice acting. This is why, because I've actually tried it. It is not easy. It is not easy. It's easy if you want it to sound bad, but if you want it to sound not cringe, it is hard. Because I tried it and it's just like, everything sounds like a line read and it doesn't sound genuine at all. And it's like, I tried working with like having someone else do voice who also wasn't a voice actor, but it's like, I'm trying to tell them like the emotion I want and stuff. But then I look at my script and it's like, well, I don't know how I want this to sound. So how can I expect someone else to know how this will sound? And then it's like, you got to put in a lot of thought. You can't just go and do it willy-nilly. Like you gotta, there's probably certain rules that you gotta like understand. So it's like, that'll be cool one day, but I think maybe for this project it's safer to just not do it. Also, I don't really even know how I want Gabi to sound. Like, I just don't know. Okay, they have a triangle in there that I didn't notice. Because yeah, they have the, okay, they do it like this, I think. Oh wait, something doesn't look right. Although this could work or not. I just gotta check. Okay, every model I can see has triangles on that chin. Okay, maybe I can do it. I just, when I see them using triangles, I usually like to know why they do it before I go and do it. And if I can see that they do it for a reason, it's like, okay, well that's probably fine. But where to put it? I think I'll put mine there. I'll like weld that, do that, because then that will connect. Because I gotta like contextualize this to my own model. Having reference is cool, but yeah, you gotta like put it in context. So it's like, that's kind of where it gets a bit tricky sometimes. Mark seam. Oh no, I don't want to mark seam, I just want to mark sharp, just so that I remember where that, because these lines have to follow that shape. So I just gotta make sure that they connect at the right spot. And I think that looks, there we go. So now we've got the edge going around that way. And then one like that, which we can use. Now that you see how, I mean, I gotta like tweak it a little, but the chin now kind of looks the right shape. If you know what I mean. I think we could probably like narrow it a little. It's gonna need a bit of adjustment, but it looks, it has like that nice little pinch which anime chins have. So that's cool, and the edge flow goes in the right spot. Anyway, so I'm just gotta think, now that this is roughly correct now, it's probably not perfect still, but it's like, that edge goes around, that edge goes around, that edge goes around. Cool, because those end up all going into the mouth. They all converge into the mouth. So now we've got some of that going on. We might actually be able to do a bit on the mouth now, that we've got that in place. And you can see the chin follows, like, the cheeks have this roundness to them now, which is pretty cool. You can compare it. That's what it was like on the old, like, before I added detail. It was really sharp and down. And now with detail, it's, like, big and curvy like that, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the triangles, like, look. I won't go too far into this because there's like a lot of contention about this, but there was some Twitter thread I saw, I think, where people like having arguments over like, are tries like bad? Honestly, I don't care. Like, I think I mentioned, like, I had done this 3D modeling course years ago, and we were taught that rule of it has to be all quads, no tries. There's also another rule where it has to be all no n-gons. Now that is a legit rule. I don't contest that rule, but the tries only, it depends. It really depends. I think whoever taught me it didn't know what they were talking about, because I'm looking at the AAA models on my other screen and they have tries everywhere. Now keep in mind, these are very specialized models, like they're not like general style. So I don't know if this applies all the time, but I know at least for my purposes, for anime, tries don't seem to be a problem. In fact, they are useful. Like in this example, having tries, because they actually use quads and tries, which you probably wouldn't want to do for edge flow reasons, but this is all deliberate to achieve shading, which isn't a factor in normal models. Like normally you don't need that much control over the shading, but because these guys do, you need the shadows to fall on certain contours. They do that on purpose. So it's like, I think the whole no tries rule is kind of stupid if you're trying to do something like this, because you have to use tries. The thing is though, is that there's the edge flow stuff. Like if you use tries wrong, there's the argument of, because you see here, it's a bit hard to see because of the blue line, but I can click this edge and it selects the whole edge. I think that's why typically people will say not to use tries, because if you add tries into this mix, you might not be able to select edges that easily. And I think a lot of people use that in their workflows where it relies on them being able to select edge loops without the edge loop breaking. That makes sense. But the blanket no tries, like in any context, I think it's kind of stupid advice, because it really depends. It sounds like someone who's never actually challenged that advice before. So it's like, look, I used to believe it, but I'm using them and it's fine. And it achieves what I want. So it's like, that's why I don't look at like Reddit or YouTube or whatever anymore for like advice. I just figure things out on my own now, because it's just like too much info, too much amateur, like people who did a 3D art course and think they're experts. Like it's all that stuff. And it's just like, it isn't binary. Like it's very nuanced. It really depends on what you're doing. I can agree with the general principle of it, but I think I think most people don't really understand why that is. They just look at the rule, no tries, and go, okay, no matter what, no tries. And it's like, well, think about maybe why that is, and think if that applies to you, because it doesn't actually apply all the time. So, let's do the mouth. So I'm going to delete some of the faces I had, because we need all of this to converge into the mouth. And again, this isn't what you do normally, but this is anime, so we're breaking the rules to do anime, because the anime rules are different. So they seem to have this thing. So this is like the mouth, okay? And we're gonna like draw, I don't know how many edge loops, we're just gonna keep it simple, and I'm just gonna draw the basic shapes. They actually do have a slide. I'll get the slide open where they talk about the mouth, because they do have a little thing about it that you're meant to do. Just let me find it and I'll show you what I mean. They have like a specific slide on the corners, because there's something about the corners of the mouth, and we're gonna draw those in now. I just gotta find it, because it's like, I don't know which slide it's on. Oh, come back. So, don't freak out. Oh, here we go. Yep. So they have this little thing where you don't want to pinch them at the corners like that. So we're just gonna do like one of these edges, but I just gotta make sure that I have that thing where the corners have like that bezelness to them, so they don't pinch. That's the only thing I'm looking for. So, oh, let me open that. Oh, okay, I've got too many tabs. There we go. So, okay, I think I get it. So it just means, I think that's what it means. Let's try and draw one of those corners. I'm just gonna do the corners and see if it kind of looks like theirs. I'm not so sure about this yet. I think this, yeah, there needs to be closer, I think. I think that's how their corners look. Oh, sorry, I keep opening this. I'm not trying to advertise my stickers, but also check them out. But I had this open and I keep opening it by accident. But also check out Gabi's stickers, linked in description. This is the tab I'm trying to look for. Yeah, so I guess that's like, that's close. It's low detail. Theirs has like another edge loop. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. And they also have like a contour about the lips. I wasn't gonna do that, but seeing as the corners are so important, we'll do that too, I guess. So we'll add like another edge loop for the top and bottom lip. And I gotta move those in a bit closer. What is Guilty Gear? It's like a fighting game. I haven't played it, but it's like, I just like the style. I just think the style's cool. That's literally the only reason I know about it, is because it's like, I reckon it's the best looking anime game, like, ever. Because here's why, because you might be thinking, well, Ray, why are you actually doing anime at all? Like, if it's so complicated, couldn't you just do like, you know, realism or whatever the hell people are doing nowadays? And it's like, I could, but it's like, what I like, this has like been my dream for ages. I go to a game store. I look at what's on the shelf. Now, I'm not an anime fan, but I like the art style. I've always been obsessed with the art style. And I draw the art style 2D. And it's like, it just looks cool. I just like it. But when I'm at a store, sometimes I'll see games on the shelf that have like box art that's in that style, and I'll look at it and go, oh cool, I like this style. And then I like pick it up, it's got this beautiful cover, and then I turn it over and it's like this JRPG pixel RPG Maker game, pixel art game, and it's just disappointing. And it's just like, oh, this sucks. Like, I want it to look like the front cover. Like, that would be so cool. And I like, well, what if I made a game that looked like the front cover? So that's kind of like why I wanted to do this. I'm just trying to find the shade smooth. Just, oh, that's weird. Oh, probably the normals are inverted. There we go, that's better. I just wanted it to fix that up. But yeah, that was literally me. I was just like, oh, I want the game to actually look like the box art. So I figured, hey, let's try that. It's really hard, but I don't know, I'm enjoying it. It's cool. It's gonna look awesome when it's done, hopefully. But yeah, I was just, yeah. Because I think I was considering, before I chose the art style, I was considering doing like the Overwatch style. Because I had like friends that were really into Overwatch at the time. And I'm glad I didn't do that, because it's, I don't know. It's not me. It just doesn't feel like my thing, you know? So I'm just looking at the mouth, right? They've got a few edge loops. It looks like the edge loops on the mouth correspond with the edge loops on the cheek. Like that, so that those line up. So I don't want to add just arbitrary edge loops to the mouth for no reason. So I'm just placing them where I can see where they will line up. I'm not gonna do the front bit yet. Now this looks really weird. Don't freak out. We'll get to it. This is how they do the mouth. Yeah, like there's the topology reference. They have the stretched, it's all stretched. It's deliberate. Don't freak out. It's fine. This solves more problems than it creates. In fact, yeah, it doesn't really create any problems at all, so that's kind of cool. But it solves lots of problems doing it this way. Don't do this for realistic models, though. It'll probably look bad on a realistic model. But if you, yeah, like texturing, if you want to do like, I think I know why people don't do this normally. Because imagine trying to texture and UV map this, like normally. It'll look weird. The cheats would look stretched. That's probably why people wouldn't do it this way normally. But because we're not doing it that way, we can do it. It's like fine. So we gotta, okay. So we got something going. I'm gonna delete these faces. We won't need those. Actually, okay, this is looking all right. Let me just, okay, there might be a bit of danger. Because if we look at the reference, I just gotta make sure that that set of edge loops goes where it should. That's the only thing I gotta just check. So let's look. We got edges going from the face, and they follow, because I think those seem to look alright. Because they have another edge loop there that I don't have, which I might add. And if we look at it from the, yeah, I think we might need another. This edge needs to come in further into the face, and we need to add another edge loop here. Actually, before I do that, just in case, I'm going to save, and then I'm going to do what I just did. Because this, from the front, doesn't look right. This, I guess I won't merge those yet. Oh, you know what? I'll merge them. It's probably fine. These need to come in further, because you need to be able to see this. Yeah, I just need to move them in, I think. Because you need to be able to see these faces. They have to be visible from the front. And just a minute ago, the cheek was getting in the way. So these need to all be visible from the front view to create the look. So I just wanted to make sure. We might not need another. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'll check if we might need another edge loop, but I'm not sure. I'll just want to get everything in place first, and then we'll check. Because I'm just looking at the blue lines. They usually use those for marking sharp, but I'm just using them to like remember where the draw line is meant to go. I'm using them as guides. But this is shaping up with less issues than I thought, so that's pretty good, I think. Because they have another edge loop that follows this, that leads up into the eyebrow. And I'm like, I'm not sure if I should also have that, or if I can... Though, yeah, there's probably a reason. Oh, no, because I'm looking at it more closely. Okay, it depends. I guess it depends on the model, because some models don't have it, some do. Oh, no, they all... Okay, so they all have another edge. I think it's probably for shading reasons, because this is probably going to look too sharp. So they have the other... It's like a bevel. That's kind of what they do, I think. But I don't know if it's on... I guess it is on this side. It's like really close, and then they move. But I don't want it going onto the head. I don't want it to touch there yet. So I'm gonna just take this off. Because this goes into... It's meant to go into the eyebrow. And then this edge... Okay, I think I get it. This... Oh, can I just select... I just want to be able to select... the verts here. It goes further in. It's not as on the edge from the looks of it. And I wouldn't bother with extra edge loops, but it's in a very specific spot at a key pivotal part that kind of all these edges come from. So I'm just like kind of trying to be conscious of that. So that edge comes in a bit more like this on that one, and Then they take this edge loop, and this is like pushed a bit further out. I think this is probably for a shadow to get shading a certain way. Yeah, so they have like this sort of bezel. We'll probably figure out why that is later, I think. But they all, I'm looking at like 3 different face references and they all have not 1 but 2 edges there. They all have that. And the face chin always comes, yeah, it's meant to come a bit higher than what I had. It's meant to come up there. And then this is meant to close shut. So we'll work on that next, but I just want to make sure that this is coming in as far in as it needs to. Yeah, you can see here it's a bit squashed, so that needs to come out, I think, a little. Okay, let's look at the reference. Okay, my cheeks need a bit more volume, because I think what they then do is they then take these and like push them out slightly to, yeah, so the cheeks have a bit of roundness to them there. So you can see it a bit better on the other side where it's lit better. So that's interesting. Yeah, we'll probably figure, like a lot of this I can kind of see why, but I probably won't know until after it's like more of it is in place. But I trust their documents. They probably do this deliberately. Okay, this is yeah, because their edge loop, it goes up into the eyebrow like that. So let me just weld those 2 verts. That's how theirs has it, like that. So that's great. We've got it exactly right. Now for the face, for the mouth, we're gonna do something whack. We're gonna do something crazy. I hope, actually we might be able to just select the corners. Hopefully if I use proportional edit, it won't mess. Oh, whoa, whoa, look at that. Why the log face, man? Whoa. Okay, no, just joking around. I wanted to move it like this. I just don't want it to move the other vert, so I just want to be careful. Oh no, wait, wrong way. So it comes in very steep, probably even, some of them have them really steep. And this is meant to come back as well. And I'll show you why they do it this way in a moment. I just want to get it in place. But this is on purpose. They have the mouth going comically in, like it's ridiculously in, but it's on purpose. It's genius. It's basically like we won't have to use shape keys because of this type stuff, which is cool. And this actually, yeah, this comes out a lot. Maybe this can come in a bit. Okay. We can actually, I just want to like match it. The proportion. Okay, that's... Okay, so why does the mouth... I think I explained this earlier, but for those that are joining, I could probably actually do even more. But why does the mouth go in? Well, it's a bit hard to tell with the mouth. I'll try and like shut the mouth tight a little bit more, so it's a bit easier to see. And I might actually move these back more, because it needs to be more. Or I'll protrude the mouth. I can tell it's not quite gonna show, so I gotta protrude this even more out. And I'll show you. Because this looks pretty ridiculous, because a real mouth isn't that exaggerated. Looks a bit silly. But the reason it's like this, and this is just my version, their version looks better. I should weld these shut, because I don't want you to be able to see through the face. So just let me just like close that gap, and I'll turn off back face culling. Okay. So look at the mouth. If you look at it from the front, and then you look at it from the side, you see how from the side, because you notice in anime the mouth will kind of come in a bit when you look at it sideways. Let's look at a there should be an image somewhere. You guys should know what I mean, right? Like anime side face. If I search that up. Yeah, they have it like... You see how the mouth kind of... it like goes in like that. So that's one reason. There's another reason as well, and that's if we look at it from the side in orthographic view. It's a bit hard to tell because of the shading, so I'll turn it. Oh, can I turn on outline? Because the shading's like a mess right now. Okay, the outline does not help. It's really hard to tell with the normal like matte cap settings. It's really hard to see because the shading's weird. Just ignore the shading and just look at the mouth silhouette. You see how it's like, if we look at it from an angle, you see how the mouth is like shifts a little to one side? If we put the mouth in a normal pose, which I'll show you what it would look like if we didn't do this. If I scale it back to like something normal, like that, you see how the mouth like sticks out on one side? You see how it like, I don't know if I can like draw over it. Do you see it? See how it's like here? It's like, it looks like the mouth's being pinched, which isn't good. Like, the mouth's there. It should be there. It looks more cartoonish when it's like that. So if I undo that again, let's look at the difference. Now, the shading is not correct, but we'll do the shading comes later. It looks kind of weird with the shading like that. Don't worry about it. Just look at the mouth. Oh, sorry. It might be a bit hard to see with the webcam. But you see the difference? One of them, like, it has a bigger gap. And that's what it's about. One of them looks more cartoonish. The other one does not so much. Now, I could probably exaggerate this a bit more. And I could probably shrink the mouth a bit. But that's the principle. So that way, when you look at it from the side, it isn't about the front, because you could just narrow the mouth, but it's when it's to the side, because if you just narrow the mouth, it'll come shorter on this side too, which will also look wrong. So this way, we can keep it longer on this side. Like on this side, and then this side can only that half gets shorter, and the other half stays. That's the point. That's why you do it that way. Now, I will repeat, don't do this for normal models. This isn't the way you normally do it. This is just for this style. If you're trying to learn 3D modeling and you're doing normal characters like humanoids for your 3D art class, do not follow what I'm doing, because this is like not the way you're meant to do it. This is just the way to get anime faces. So this could probably come up a bit. We could probably not like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, like that. I could probably shrink it a bit, and I could probably like scale it more. Because you see, the more we scale it, I know the shading is weird, but just ignore the shading, because the shading we can control. You see how it's like the where the mouth is. It's like in line with the nose. If we had it normal, the mouth would be sticking out in line with the eye. And if we actually look at the reference, I think I've actually nailed it where the mouth should be, because if you look at where the blue line, that's where the mouth is, and then the yellow line where the nose is, the mouth is like behind the nose. It's to the right, and mine is actually still coming over a bit. That could just be because this guy's nose is a bit longer. Oh, where did I? Oh, I lost the tab. There we go. Let me close that. I got a lot of tabs, but it actually. Yeah, it like follows that shape, so I could probably move it in a bit more, because it should line up with the nose, or I think the nose just needs to stick out. So maybe this isn't like a terrible place to put it. Although, yeah, now that I look at it, maybe I've got a little, yeah, it does stick out a bit too much when you look at it from the side. So we'll have to adjust it. So we'll do it from the side. I'm gonna look at my reference. It should line up with the bottom of the eye, which looks like it does. So it just means the nose has to come out further. That's better. Yes. So now if we look at it from the angle, it lines up with the nose. And it's like, well, why does it need to line up with the nose from this specific angle? This sounds so crazy. It's because it has to look like a drawing. So that's why. And when you draw it, that's how you would draw it. So that's the kind of... I know it doesn't really look like it yet because we haven't done the textures and the shaders. But if you can get the geometry to play nice, all of that other stuff comes easier later on. So, cool. I actually didn't think it would look like that. I thought it would look weirder. So if you ignore where it's pinching and the shadows, because that's something we can fix. Even from this angle, the mouth kind of... Yeah. So yeah, some people use blend shapes for that. I don't want to bother with those. Albane says the matte cap shading doesn't even look bad anymore. Thank you. I think it does, but thanks. Well, hey, imagine how much better it'll look once I actually get... Well, we haven't done the custom normals yet. So it... Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that. It's... So that's why you wouldn't do topology like this normally if you were doing, like, normals. Like, just normal normals, if you catch my meaning. But you can kind of see... by pure accident, we actually have some of those shadow shapes in now. The nose has that triangle shadow a little, and the side of the cheek follows the right shape. So that's kind of incredible because we haven't even controlled the normals, and the shadows are kind of falling in the right place already. Like this, you see how the shadows are in the same spot where they're on that side of the cheek? So that's an accident. Well, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's all... Maybe the weird topology has a purpose. Maybe that's what it does. It gets the shadows in that spot, which you wouldn't really think about in a normal model, right? Like, you don't really care where the shadows go on a normal model. It doesn't really matter. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm learning stuff too. I didn't know that I would get this result by deliberately putting vertices in this specific order for the cheek. I just thought it was like for the silhouette, but it's for the shading too. So I learned something new. I'm not sure how long I want to keep going because I'm getting a bit hungry. But I want to... There's something else I want to look at. Because I don't feel like I've done enough. I want to look maybe about just where the nose and the eyes connect, just for a bit. I'll read chat for a bit, just because I need to refresh my eyes. So... What's this comment? Anime characters, especially girls, have ridiculously short I don't know what that is, but sure, okay. What is... Actually, let me look up that is. Some face thing. Oh, I see. I think I get what... It's, I'll show you what he means. He means like the gap here. So actually, yeah, let's adjust that. Because it is looking a bit weird. Well, actually, in my reference... That's my reference here. They actually... Well, okay. It is a bit shorter, though. But it looks like... When you turn the shader on... it's like you don't even really notice. If you turn off the wireframe... I can't seem to... I can't turn the wireframe off. But, I don't know if I'll model in those nostrils, though. Not sure if that's going to be necessary. But we'll adjust the mouth position a bit. But yeah, I'm looking... I think the thing is with custom normals, because I tried doing custom normals, because someone here just said, you really need custom normals for it to work. And I am aware of that. It's just you can't do the normals unless you finish the model, which is what I'm doing. So it's like... The thing is, though, that I learned, because I tried doing custom normals with the old model, but because the topology was thoughtless, I just used subdivide like an idiot. Because I did that, the normal customization was an uphill battle. It was immensely hard. And I'll show... Let's compare while we're... Because I'm going to probably start wrapping things up a bit and winding down. I just want to, like, review what I've done and stuff. So let's compare it to Gabi's old model on the face. Now you look at this and it looks... Oh, well, Ray, this looks better. Yeah, because this one's finished. Of course it looks better. But it's like, it won't look better when I like stretch it from its normal pose. So you see this? Now this might not look the worst. It did look worse than this. But you see the shadow coming in? So it looks okay. It's not great. It's all right. So I know that my current model is not as smooth because it's still being built. But if you look at the topology, if it lets me click on the model, that would be nice. Oh, there we go. So let's hide the rig. Oh, not that. The rig. This. And let's hide the shader. The outline. So if you look at it, there's a lot of edge loops going on. That's a lot of normals to edit too. And I found with these guys and their techniques, I've noticed that they don't, like, the reason they kind of keep the mouth clear of polys isn't only for that rigging thing I showed earlier. It's also shading, because having less polys around that area means there's less normals you have to worry about when you're doing normal editing, which is actually a good thing sometimes. Because on the old face, I had to go to every single vert and like adjust the normal so that the light would go a certain way. I don't know how to get the normals. There is a way to show them, right? I don't remember what it was. Oh no, not in that. There's some like little widget you can turn on that shows the normals. There we go. Oh my god. Oh, let's shrink that down a bit, shall we? But look at this. Look at this dude. So the normals on the face are very smooth compared to like the new one, obviously, but we'll get to that later. But every single vert was hand done. Do you know how long that took? It took ages. See how the chin like kind of goes out like that, and the whatever. So for those who are confused, because I just realized some of you might not understand what this is. So normals, this is the reason why if we look at the faces side by side, Gabi's old face looks smoother than the new face. So if I take like a light, like if I like change the material, you see how it's there's like not a lot of hard edges, but if I go and like recalculate normals, oh, okay, it won't do it. If it normally doesn't look, you see how the nose, it like doesn't look sharp, whereas the new nose, you can see these little stretch marks. That's what that is, basically. Now, normals are important with the cell shader to get those smooth shadows, which we haven't gotten to yet. But as I was saying, if you have the verts, like the trick is, I'm learning by watching these examples, is that if the vertices are actually put thoughtfully, and you've like thought about where all the verts go, editing normals becomes a lot easier. That's why we can have this shadow on the cheek, whereas Gabi's old model, it's like harder. It's like close, but it isn't like there naturally. I had to like do a lot of manual work, and it isn't that good either. Like it's like kind of all right, but it's, imagine how much better it would be if I had actually thought about the face topology beforehand. Like that would have been even better. There is some problems. Like you can actually see some issues here with the lip. The lower lip has this weird shadow going over it, and the upper lip is in light, which looks kind of weird. I don't know why I did that, and I don't know why I did that, but I did. It looks weird now when I look at it years later. But and then having the shadow go around the eye, it's not really how that should look either. But because the thing with normal editing is that it all depends on the geometry. It all depends on where you've put the verts. So that's why I like this new technique, because already they're kind of going pretty all right. Like we've got the shadow on the nose, we got this. Old Gabi didn't have that going for it before I edited the normals at all. So it's like, so far, it's like okay. And it'll probably be better once we can control them. But we got to finish the face to do that. So it's, yeah. So I'm just trying to think about other things, because I'm just looking at the reference and how they have the eyes. The eyes are kind of complicated. I'm just trying to think of something quick I can use to finish off with this. I think, yeah, so we'll move the mouth. Mouth is can come up a bit higher probably. That looks good. And I can see that there might be an issue. Here, this is where tries come in handy. I think that needs to be a... Oh, no. We're going to make that triangle because it's bending a bit odd. So we'll add an edge there. I've noticed that they have lots of tries on the corners of the mouth. So we'll add tries as well. Just on the corners. They actually have more all over the place. Oh yeah, we'll do the jaw. I think we'll finish off just with the front of the jaw, because their edges go around and over like that. I don't have those edges, so we'll get my edges to go over like theirs do, because that also influences the silhouette. You can see that creates a silhouette of the jaw, so it dips inwards a little and then back out. Mine doesn't do that; it just goes straight down. But if we wire those edges to go around, we can get this little shape where it goes in and then out and then around, which is, again, like, the silhouette is so important. I underestimated that my first go, but it is crucial. Creates the illusion that it's all a drawing. Oh, sorry, I had my chat paused. I didn't see all the messages. I'm so sorry. Well, yeah, so with the old model, yeah, I think I was able to get, like, smoother transitions. Yes, but I don't think I want that anymore. Someone left a comment saying, I like that it has a smoother shadow transition on different angles. So yeah, now, I thought that's what I wanted. And I think I've looked at a lot of forum posts about this, and a lot of people say they like it when the shadows, like, smoothly go over. But when I used to think I liked that too, but then when I go and look at anime, I notice that the shadows actually do snap. And when people show that, like, there was some forum post where someone pointed that out, and the shadows would, like, snap to parts of the face, and everyone said that they didn't like it, but it actually is more accurate. So and Arc System Works models, the shadows do snap. So I'm gonna do that too. Even though it sounds like you don't want it, but I think I want it. I think I want the shadows to snap between set positions, because I've noticed anime shadows don't do that. Even though, like, smooth equals better, like, I think most people's default brain is like smooth equals good, but not always, not all the time. So we're gonna challenge that. Now, the edge flow here, I'm gonna have to delete these edges. I'm gonna have to delete the faces, and we gotta wire these back up. So these come out here, and then this is actually quite easy. This is actually so simple, because it's all coming to me now. It's all coming together. So this bit of the front of the jaw, because remember, this is to make that little dip, the little dip in the chin. You know why this is easy? Because I spent that time getting this right at the bottom. Remember, because I know some of you were probably thinking, when I was doing these edges, I probably spent a while on these, right? You guys were probably thinking, Ray, does the edges do they need to go in that specific order? Yes, they do, because these go back in and over the jaw to create that shape. So that I didn't have that right at first, as you saw. If you go back an hour, these were all going outwards, but if you have them going in a circle, they line up there and create the shape. I didn't understand that while I was doing it. I was just trusting what they had. I didn't know why the edges did, like, from this angle. I didn't know why they're going in a circle like that. Now I know it's because it does this. And now this is really easy to add for the jaw, which is incredible. Like, that's awesome. I love when things just work. So yeah, a lot of weird witchcraft, because that's probably not how, I don't know how you normally do geometry for chins. It's probably not like this. But because we followed the rules of the studio, check it out. We can get that going easy. Now look at it. It looks so much better. And then we can just plug these in. Oh wait, can we? Okay, they do have, I think, yeah, and then they have, like, a bunch of tries going to that, but these don't all line up. They do. Okay, I got one thing wrong. I got one thing wrong from the looks of it. They have another edge loop going down. I think I ignored that one deliberately, because I was thinking, oh, I don't need that many polys. Let me go look at it. I'm just going to look at the other reference I have here. This face is a bit different shape to my one, but I'm just looking at. So yeah, you see, it's witchcraft. It looks weird, but it all makes sense. It all has a purpose. So on this model, this is a bit different from my one. They actually have them converging out from here. So I don't know if I want to do that. But then this model has them all. They have another edge loop on the jaw. So I don't know how many. Let me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this actually has more edge loops on the jaw. How many do I have? I've got 3. Maybe a 4th one. Oh, I gotta think. Would a 4th one be a good idea? Because if I had another edge loop, it'll connect up with the mouth. But it has to work and it has to follow this. Is that a good idea? I gotta think, because this is where you gotta kind of think. Gotta be careful. You can't just add edge loops wherever you want. So let's look. Let's look at the references. I'm just looking at what they've done here. So they have an edge. I don't think I've got that edge. That connects to the back. I don't think I've got one that does that. Yeah, no, I don't. So maybe it looks like it's like there, I think, but not exactly. It's like this connects to this somehow, and then that goes like that. But okay, what I'm trying to show, this is. I've just got their model open, one of them on this window. I'm just looking at where the edges go. So this connects to the mouth. I'm missing an edge. Mine will not. This one will not connect. This, they have the 2 circles. I just want to pay attention to... Okay, so I have a kind of equivalent, but there's... So my equivalent is this one, which is a little different. It's a little bit different, actually. Because you see how mine... But then it kind of, I don't know, because they do this weird triangle bit here, and then it kind of does curve around as well. Because then they have this edge that flows to the, okay, so maybe it isn't the same one. I'm just looking at the edge flow. I think the issue, oh, no, I do have, if I move one of these verts, I do have an equivalent. But mine is a little different. Mine kind of goes like this. And it does go up. It's just I use less polygons than they do. So I'm actually not so sure. Maybe I should just delete one of those on the mouth. But I just want to make sure that that's what I want first, because I'm wondering if there's a reason they use more. So I'm going to put mine on the right and theirs on the left and look at it, because they... Okay. It's like really similar... Almost. But they have like an extra... I just gotta... Because this is like a tricky choice. If you make the wrong choice, it's not good. Oh no! I get it. I get it now. It's because I've got a try here. I get it. They have... There we go. There's the extra edge loop. That's where they've put it. Now that's a quad. Okay, that makes sense. Perfect. Not exactly the same, but it is my model, so I can do what I want. But it's like... Then, okay, then this is like plugged in wrong, I think. So this, that needs to go there. And then this goes, I think this goes up. So let's get rid of this. So now, I'm not 100% sure, but... Oh, does it? Okay, maybe I did... Maybe... I still got it... Okay, no, I still got it wrong. That is meant to go across. It's just this then comes up, and then... Oh. Then that goes there. It is like a jigsaw, but a really complicated jigsaw. And then that should go there. And oh, we still got And we still, well, maybe, okay, I think they just put, they have like more edges on the lips than I do. Okay, let's look at what they've got. So I'm just watching this edge. So that is meant to go through and then up, which mine does. And then, oh, they have a third edge loop. Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, they have another edge loop here that then connects down. Because that's this. That then goes and then goes down. Cool. I think. Will that work? It might not for me because they have, I think, another edge loop on the cheek. So I'm gonna like, oh, but then, okay, I know this wasn't here before. I'll delete this one. And I'll delete this for the moment, and we'll just close it with less polys now, just to see how it looks. If I need to add more later, I will. They have more, but I might be able to get away with less. And if I can, I will. So that's pretty close actually to what the edge flow that they've got. It's not the same shape, but we aren't making the same character, so that's fine. But it follows the same edge flow, except I think that, yeah, they just have another edge going through there, which I want to try and not use if I can. So you see now the jaw, look at that. It now has that smooth little, it goes in and then out, just like their ones do, just like a real anime face. So now Gabi has like I can make it like the Chad chin if I want. Gabi has chin. There we go. So I can go, yes. Look at that. Epic. Cool. I'm getting really hungry. So I'm just going to move these, I'm just going to adjust the verts a little, move them to be a bit smoother, and then I'll probably call it. Because that's probably all the energy I got for modeling today. Oh. So I'm just looking at like sort of the curvature of it, and now I'm paying attention to how smooth it is. I think this needs to come lower a bit. That needs to come lower a bit. That needs to come a bit lower. Valerie says, you've inspired me to go finish my models. Well, you're welcome. Sorry, there's a lot of chat messages I haven't read, sorry. How would this translate to chibi-like proportions? Probably the same. It's just you make the chin tiny, the cheeks huge. I'd imagine it's the same rules. It's just the proportions. It's the only real difference is the proportions. But the shading would have, if the shading's the same, yeah, I wouldn't really see a difference. Like if you wanted to make this chibi, you'd probably just take the eyes and just go, wee. Make them huge, spread them out, take the head and make it like big. Very, very rough. And then yeah, you like take the mouth and just make it tiny. Chibi moment, there you go. And then you just make the head massive and the body tiny. Like, here's how you do it. There's chibi, there you go. And then you just like make the body more androgynous, and there you go. Chibi moment. All right, let's undo that. There we go. Let's save before I make more mistakes. But yeah, I reckon, yeah, so next time, I don't know where I'll be up to, but I'm going to be working more before next stream to like get more of the face going on. But we've got a good start. So we still got to figure out the eyes. And the nose is still a bit rough. This could, these could probably get spread out a little. The nose is still kind of rough. Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of like getting the eyes and then connecting it to the face to like the rest of the head. It's going to be a bit tricky. And then connecting that to the body. So I don't know. I'll be working on it before next time just to see how much progress I make. I don't know where I'll be up to. But if you want to find out, subscribe and hit the bell to join me next week when I work more on this. Let's look at the whole body. So that's it all now. It's not joined yet. But if we turn it on with the shader, you can start to see the face is sort of starting to come in now a bit. It's getting there. The body shading is actually a lot better than I thought, though. Like, look at the knees. You see how the knees have like that little divot? That's pretty cool. My old model did not have that. So I might not actually have to do much normal editing for the body, which is a relief. The head, though, is going to need a lot. So yeah, but that's how it's coming along. I have to eat stuff, so I'm probably going to stop it there. But thank you guys so much for joining me and for watching this. It's not the most entertaining thing in the world. It's complicated, but it's hopefully it's entertaining enough. Please, if you are so inclined and would like to support this game, please wishlist it on Steam, which is linked below, and check out the stickers I launched today on my merch store. Link down below as well. These, you can... It's like a whole set of Gabi. So if you want to like celebrate the new model getting done, you can have Gabi in your life on whatever object you want. You don't have to put it on a laptop. You could, I don't know, put it, I don't know where people put stickers. I have a little wall behind me where I put stickers, so I'm gonna put some of mine there. It's like a sticker wall. I saw someone put stickers on their PC case, which was cool. So if you have like a glass PC case and you need something to decorate it, there you go. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for joining me. I will catch you next week, same time, 12 a.m. UTC. You have to figure out what time zone that is for you. But we'll see how far I get with this next week. Hopefully, I don't know, if it goes well, I could be up to doing normals. We'll see. But thanks for joining. I will catch you guys next time.